The rules within physical reality say that objects appear to be stationary and permanent. The rules of other realities are often far different, however. The nature of mental activities will follow different lines, and continuity in terms of time will not exist. Perceptual organization will exist by the use of different psychological groupings. From the outside, such systems would seem meaningless to you, even if you were able to perceive them. You would not be able to observe the pivot points about which the actions occurred. The very definite rules of that system, then, would be quite obscure to you. Now, the speakers are familiar with the rules within many systems. Still, however, most of these systems in larger terms are somewhat connected with your own kind of reality. There are an infinite number of inner universes. Only the very highest, most developed Gestalt consciousness can be aware of anything like their totality. In this larger context, then, the speakers must be called local. There is something like a chart mapping many of the nearby systems of reality, and I hope someday in your terms to make this available. In order to do so, Gruber must be trained somewhat more intensely. There are points of coincidence where, under certain conditions, entry may be made from one of these systems to the other. They need not exist separately in space as you know it, of course. These are called coordination points, where one camouflage merges into the other. Some of these are geographical in your system, but in all cases, a tuning in of consciousness is a necessary preliminary. Such entries can only be made in an out-of-body condition. Each individual in his dreams has access to the information possessed by the speakers. There are adjacent states of consciousness that occur within the sleep pattern that cannot be picked up by your EEGs, adjacent corridors through which your consciousness travels. The higher centers of intuition are activated, while physically oriented portions of the consciousness remain with the body. The absent portion of the self cannot be traced through brain patterns, though the point of its departure and the point of its return may show a particular pattern. The timeout itself, however, will not be detected in any way. The tracings, showing only whatever characteristic pattern was being given immediately before departure. Now, this happens in every night's sleep. Two areas of activity are involved, one very passive and one acutely active. In one state, this portion of consciousness is passive, receiving information. In the next stage, it is active as it takes part through action. The concepts given it are then vividly perceived through participation and examples. This is the most protected area of sleep. The rejuvenating characteristics enter in here, and it is during this period that the speakers act as teachers and guides. This information is, then, often interpreted on return by other layers of the self, such as the body consciousness and subconscious, where it is formed into dreams that will have meaning to these areas of the self, and where general teaching, for example, may be translated into practical advice involving a particular matter. This is the end of Part 5 of Chapter 17 of Seth Speaks, The Eternal Validity of the Soul. Let's talk about it. Quite simply, in this passage, Seth is talking about different realities and how they work compared to our own. Seth mentions that in our physical reality, objects seem to stay still and last for a long time. However, in other realities, things are different. In those realities, mental activities and time don't work the same way as they do here. People there perceive things differently and organize their thoughts in unique ways. Even if we could see those realities, they might seem strange to us, and their rules would be extremely hard to understand. Seth also talks about speakers who know about different reality systems. These systems are somehow connected to our reality, but there are many other inner universes out there, and only very, very, very advanced consciousness can understand them all. Seth hopes to share a map of these reality systems someday, but he says at the time it would have required intense training for Rupert, other known as Jane Roberts. Seth explains that there are special points where these different realities can connect, and they can be reached during out-of-body experiences, like in dreams. He lets us know that each of us has access to this information in our dreams, but it's in a different state of consciousness that science cannot measure. It is in this dream state the speakers teach and guide us. Finally, he says that when we wake up, we might not remember everything from these dream experiences, but our subconscious might turn these teachings into meaningful dreams or practical advice. If you've enjoyed this reading, please consider giving it a like, sharing with a friend, and subscribing for more. What did you think about this passage? I know it's a bit complicated, but please share your interpretation in the comments below. Until the next time, thank you for listening and thank you for watching. Thank you.